for another episode of Legacy Dialogues. This is the first time we've done two in 1 month, probably since last year, since 2025. But we're not going to take too much time before we jump right in today. The individual that I bring to you today, I've been connected to her probably about 5 years. Maybe, no, I take that back. Probably like 3.5, 4 years. And we've just grown to know one another, to respect one another, to pour into one another, to uplift one another so much over these most recent couple of years. And I wanted to really bring her in to highlight some of the things that she's doing. Not only the thing that she's doing for others, but also how she's taking herself on a journey. So without further ado, I'm going to bring to you Iris herself. How's it going?
It's going. How are you?
I'm well. I'm well. So before we get started, and I know you've done this already, um,
Okay.
but like I'm big on getting people's names right. Iris, would you pronounce it Nereida or like a gringo,
Iris, Iris
Nereida?
Nereida.
Iris Nereida. I love it. I love it. I
Iris
love it.
Nereida.
So for my gringos that want to say Iris, is Iris. Iris. So
It is
how
Iris Nereida, yes.
I love it. I love it. So just to jump right into things, I want you to take us back. We're gonna do this two separate ways, and it's different than what I just told you before we started. So
You just
before
totally played me, sir.
before we do our traditional route, I want you to first just kind of give the audience like the timeline of us knowing each other from the time I first came onto your radar, how we started to connect, and like where we are today on that journey, and then we'll take it back to the original flow.
So we met each other when I joined the company UWE a
Hmm.
few years ago. I think I want to say it was 2023. 2022, 2023, we met. And I wasn't too sure about that journey. I did dabble into it, and I know the importance of it based off of what I believe as far as healing and trauma and things of that nature, how important credit is and stuff like that. But I, it's not where my passion was. But we did thankfully make the connection outside of that once I chose to move on. And you began your mentorship through um, our other mentor. So it
Hmm.
has led us here and has been continuous, which I am very grateful for because it's definitely allowed me to maintain, despite the challenges of life, you still keep pushing forward. You don't give up, you keep moving. Um, and you never know what's on the other side. So
Yeah,
I'm thankful for that connection for sure.
beautiful, and the feelings mutual. I grew up in a C&E household when it comes to going to church, Christmas and Easter. So, so oftentimes in my adult journey, I have connected with individuals who were a little more consistent or a little more adept in their faith walk. And I always try and keep those types of people close to me. Whereas I have an admiration and love for multiple different religious practices. And, I study multiple different practices, but I always like having someone close to me that can help keep me in alignment with the way that I've put out that I want to live my life, but also I want to serve as an example for others to live their life. And I just wanted to mention real quick how like you're my one of my go-tos when it comes to making sure that I'm on point when it comes to certain things that I'm referencing from scripture, um, and how like that aspect of you is something that's kept me close to you because you put so much of what you do behind how you believe. And that's what a lot of people don't realize. Like, it doesn't matter if it's religious related, if it's universal related, if it's whatever your belief system is going to have a huge effect on how you operate throughout life and with whom you operate. So I just wanted to kind of throw to you a appreciation for you being who you are, and just let you know, like,
Thank
that's part
you.
of why so many people who are.
You're freezing on me.
Hold up, did I freeze? Can you hear me still?
I can hear you now. You said that's
Yeah,
why so many people.
I always forget to do this and turn this alarm off because I'm frozen video wise,
Yes.
but my sound is okay. So I'm going to refresh my side really quickly
Okay.
so that my
Hmm.
video unfreezes. But
Okay.
while I do so, I want you to go ahead and just kind of start telling the people, like, who is Iris? Where are you from? Um, what got you to where you are today? And just kind of give us some snapshots, and then we'll kind of go back through and see which parts we want to highlight a little bit more. But you go ahead and take that wheel.
So, as we stated, my name is Iris Nereida. I grew up in Pennsylvania until I was about just before I turned 17. The circumstances led me to Connecticut, and that is where I planted my roots. I got married very early on, had children very early on. So the bulk of my life was pretty much in marriage. Um, and then divorce happened. And that is when I really started to sink into the new journey of entrepreneurship. I was still working for corporate America. However, I did I started a travel business in 2021 during COVID. Um, it was a gift to myself more so. I was 40, getting ready to turn 41. So it was accomplishing things in my 40th year that were new. I really did it initially just so that I can have the ins that other people don't have, access to vendors that other people don't have, just because people were constantly and still constantly reach out to me so that I'm sorry, am I dimming over here?
No, you're good.
Okay. Um, just because people reach out to me, so I wanted to have more information outside of the normal expedient things of that nature. So I joined the travel industry. However, to my surprise, I didn't realize how effective this would be on me and my journey for healing. I was already in the process of the healing journey. I already loved travel, and had traveled a lot prior to it, but then I started to travel by myself. I consistently found myself in alone times for quite some time, and I always questioned, why am I alone? Why are, certain things and people, not in my vicinity anymore? It was like God was removing people for a period. And I quickly learned, and I Iris, individuals recovering in solitude, there is a lot that has to happen when you're by yourself. You have the option to sit and stew in your emotions and allow it take you into depression, or allow it to bring you to anxiety, or you can take those thoughts and you can put them where they belong in their rightful place so that you're able to make progress. So I started traveling much more and utilizing it for healing. So that's kind of where it brings me to where we are today, and how my retreats and everything ties into the healing journey.
Beautiful. I appreciate you sharing that. Where I want to go a little deeper is, we're no. uh, uh, First, let me preface this for those of you who may be new viewers of mine. My academic background is psychology and social work. One of my degrees is Spanish, so ya todavía, or ya hablo español también, pero no es perfecto, como siempre cuando estoy hablando con alguien quien español es su primer lengua. tengo que decir que no es mi primer lengua, pero si me voy a un país, cuando la gente habla español, yo voy a estar bien. No voy a tener
That's
problemas.
right.
Sí, porque el mensaje es lo que está más importante. Cuando me puedes entender solo. But yeah, so
There
psychology,
you
social
go.
work.
Yes.
I love
Kudos.
Spanish. So like when I think about the psychological aspect, the human behavior, the human development, oftentimes we run into the areas that a lot of people don't like to talk about. So coming from a background as a multiple minority, I guess you would say, as a woman, being a woman of ethnic background that is not the traditional here in the United States, but also just having to deal with the challenges that individuals deal with in life in general. Like, kind of take us through the beginning years, maybe something that you learned in your earlier years that when you look back now, even though it may have been painful at the time, you're thankful that you went through it because it's helped you to be able to more efficiently operate in today's day. Now, I got some things that I can probably throw at you, but I want to hear from your mouth. So, you can say as much as you want or as little. Like, what kind of made you into the Irish that you are today?
Divorce.
Mm. So tell us a
Divorce
little bit
made me
about
who I
that.
am today. Well, I grew up thinking that my environment and everything I experienced and was exposed to was quote unquote normal. And you, like you said, you exhibit certain behaviors, you conduct yourself in certain ways, and you think that these things are okay, or they're again a sense of normalcy, but they're really not. And it took for me to go through that divorce for me to say, okay, this is what I need to work on. I need to go all the way back to the beginning. I need to find where the breakdown is. I need to, as far back as my memory goes, I need to unravel those things because there's certain things that I do and I exhibit that just aren't right. I always knew there were behaviors that just weren't right. I didn't know how they weren't right. I didn't know why. I didn't know what it was, but I knew that there were things that weren't right that I needed to target, and I need to go back to the beginning. And that's really essentially the only way that you're able to target these things is by going back to the beginning and coming forward and looking at where you are today and what behaviors still kind of trigger some of the things that you faced before. So it really is linking the puzzle pieces together and putting things in its proper place.
So I'm taking notes as I'm listening to you. And when I listen to you, I'm replaying aspects of my past life and things that were normal versus things that I knew shouldn't be normal. Lots of things that we go through, and at a larger percentage, at least based off of studies, that women accept in relationships are things that publicly you should display yourself a certain way regardless of what's going on privately. And whenever we're able to keep a public eye, it's like we sacrifice what goes on in private because it's what people are seeing that's what's most important. So we have these red flags that we accept because I have to, to show face. I have to look the part. I have to be the individual on the outside that people expect me to be, regardless of what's actually happening at home. And I'm writing, or I wrote down, doing what's right, um, as opposed to what is normal. And oftentimes, and I'm not sure if it's just on my side or if you had to drop your video, but we can't see you, Iris. All right, she should be coming back. All right, there we go.
I'm sorry. Are you there?
Yeah, you're
I
all
had an
good.
alarm notification, like just like you. It froze my
Right?
camera, so I didn't hear some of the stuff you said. My apologies.
No, it's all good. I realized the same, and now it's got like an old version of you here between us. So let me take it off and bring you right back. All right, so
No,
that's
it's silly.
that circling aspect in the middle. It may just stay there for a sec, but we're gonna rock with it. I was saying how oftentimes we look at the we allow ourselves to ignore the red flags. We'll put it that way. We allow ourselves to ignore the red flags and we stay in situations longer than we necessarily need to. And it's not always that it was a bad, toxic, or negative situation. Sometimes it's just a situation that we've outgrown. And whenever we position ourselves to maintain awareness that we've outgrown it, that's when we need to do, as you were saying, like look at the ways of the past, the things that happened in the past, and let me learn from them and then move forward. I wrote down research of the past. So we want to, me being an academic, always thinking about data. What data from the past, what past associations can I use as examples of why I shouldn't take this turn, why I should make this decision moving forward. You did it in the past and you think it's going to change just because you got a few more years on you. No, like you have to be real with yourself and make the difficult choices. Uh, so so if you don't mind, like tell us a little bit more about some of the things that you've been able to either overcome more efficiently today after making the decisions to go through with your divorce versus some of the things that you can look back at and say, had I not gone through that divorce, I probably wouldn't have accomplished XYZ.
Had I not gone through a divorce, I wouldn't have been forced to go through the healing journey, the traumatic experiences, or at least recognize that they were traumatic experiences. Because, as I mentioned, I thought this was all a sense of normalcy, the way I lived and the way I grew up. So I don't believe that I would have gone through the journey as aggressive as I have and continue to do, because people think that healing is a destination. And it is a journey. You don't arrive to healing. You don't just, work on yourself and say, okay, I'm good. And now we could keep pushing forward. You don't know later on down the line, where something is going to come up, and then you recognize, wow, I thought I healed, or I thought I was okay, and that's not necessarily the case. So it is having that sense of awareness consistently. I also wouldn't be in entrepreneurship had I not gone through that journey. If I was still married, living that home life, I wouldn't be an entrepreneur. I wouldn't have the mentors that I have. I would not be traveling the way that I travel. um I wouldn't have created my ebook. I wouldn't have retreats. There's just so many things had I not gone through it. So while many things can be painful in your life, there's a purpose for pain. There's always something on the other side.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So a couple things on the healing journey. Um, we can be healed in certain environments depending on the variables of stimuli around us. We can be healed simply based off of who and or what is around us. But as soon as we get into a similar environment that takes us back to where we were broken or unhealed, as soon as we meet that someone that reminds us from someone of that time, that's when we realize you're not fully healed yet. And
Woo,
that's why,
Chile.
like you said,
Yes.
yeah, that's like what you said. You can't look at healing as a destination. You have to look at it as an ongoing process. And don't throw yourself a pity party about it either. Just understand that it's a process. Like I am going to carry this with me to a certain degree throughout the majority of the rest of my life. It's just how I cope with, how I operate in whatever the future environments are. That's going to determine how I continue to peel back one layer after other and continue to heal. And everybody should give themselves grace. whenever you feel like, man, I thought I was doing well, but then I just flipped out on somebody. I thought that I was in a good place, but then I fell into what feels like a depression again. Like, we have to give ourselves grace. I am one that oftentimes people only see a sunny disposition. They see joy, happiness. He's always Mr. Positivity pouring into everyone. But then something will happen. Someone will step on my foot. Someone will press the red button, and I can go 180. And I like to tell people, like, they'll ask me, like, like, you just seem like you got everything together. Like, what's your red flag? What is it about you? And I say, it ain't no gray area. Like, it's this, and like all is good, or you gonna want to not exist whenever it flips. Um, and
Yeah.
oftentimes we have to remind people, when we are being gentle, when we're being just this calm individual that's so welcoming and everyone loves us, we have to remind people, don't take it for granted, because it took a lot of pain, a lot of darkness for me to become who I am today. But at the same time, I've learned how to control myself through that and display what I want to display based off of the reciprocation of the energy that I'm getting. Because if you want to act crazy, I can act crazy. But if you don't give me a reason to, if you don't give me a reason to, we'll be good. So
Right.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, understanding that it's a journey and it's not a destination. Now, when it comes to my divorce, I got a divorce officially April of 21. We decided to separate October of 19. Think about that. Like, it was the beginning of COVID. We literally stayed together for like almost a whole year after we decided to go our separate ways. But I look back, and like, before, my entrepreneurship journey was like a fight. Like, I had to fight her to allow me to be an entrepreneur, to allow me to go to events and all these different things that helped and have helped build me into who I am today. And I feel like I may have, had I sacrificed and say, you know what, let me be who you want me to be instead of being who I know myself to be, I probably wouldn't be where I am today. I probably have a very good corporate, or working at some agency, maybe in an administrative role, but I wouldn't be doing what I want to do. And then you mentioned mentors, and we're going to bring all this to your retreats here in a bit. You mentioned mentors and the importance of having mentors, and the fact that you went out of your divorce. You started to see and take advantage of the mentors. Like, a lot of people that operate in the traditional sense of life, like, they never understand the importance and the value in having mentors in various different areas of your life: financial, business, personal relationships, so on and so forth. And then you mentioned the traveling. Now, I want you, if you, or to the degree that you care to, oftentimes when we go through divorces or breakups, one partner or ex or the other always speaks negatively about the ex partner. Like, it's always just like, I can't stand, or they were so this, and just negative, negative, negative. I don't know how much you care to share, but one of the things that I like to share is, none of my exes do I talk down to or about. I may reference things that I didn't like about them that kind of was part of what drove us apart. But my kid's mom now, she living on her terms, and she's been able to travel a lot more because of our co-parenting relationship, because she can have a week or multiple weeks at a time where the kids are just with me and she's doing her own thing. And then vice versa. I can go, and like, in the next starting next week, I'm gonna be out of town for like 3 straight weeks. And we already have the plan in place. She's gonna have the kids, and I'm gonna do what I gotta do. So a lot of people don't like. Oftentimes we hear divorce, and I was that person. We hear divorce, and all we think is negative. All we think is the bad, but we never flip it and say, what value can come out of this. So, to the degree that you wish to share, obviously, becoming an entrepreneur, being able to travel, get mentors, so on and so forth, are part of that. But is there anything else that you can highlight as far as the current relationship with? your kid's father, how you've operated jointly or in cooperation and or adversarially throughout the years. Like, if you care to speak to that.
So, like you said, a lot of people will bash, and I got that side. I was, and probably still talked about a lot, to the degree that I lost. I mean, you're talking, we were in a relationship essentially almost my whole life, right? About 25 years. Um, and so we built relationships together. We have friends together. We had his side of the family. And I lost all of that the minute we started to go through the process. It was like it was completely shut down, like I wasn't a part of their family for so many years. And that was hurtful. It took me a while to process that. It took me a while to get through it. I was quite in disbelief, because when you love someone, how can you just cut something off despite, what happens between the couple? One has nothing to do with the other. And that's where, again, the individuals recovering in solitude came about, because of those relationships that were severed because of things that were said. And never any reaching out to me to say, hey, let me hear your side, or let me find out what's going on with you. Um, and I had to get to a point where, you know what, this is okay. There's a reason why God removes people from your life. There's a reason why you end up alone. There's a reason why this process has to take place. I wouldn't have grown to the magnitude that I grow now. I wouldn't have, sunk my feet deeper into a lot of the areas that I have now if those things did not occur. So yes, that did happen to me. Very challenging. We have a good relationship, um, but hurt people, right? So there are so many different levels and things that have occurred throughout the years. But nonetheless, while our children are adults, we always will have 100% guardianship of my son, because he has a traumatic brain injury. So there always has to be some level of communication amongst the two of us. So we have to maintain some form of a balance. B, you're frozen on me, sir. Brian, is it me or is it you?
All right. Looks like my connection is good.
So you were
All right.
frozen there for a minute. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I look like five, so I just turned the data on. I didn't say anything in the meantime. But and saying all this, I want us to kind of bring it all together around um, these retreats. I want to talk about retreats now. When I think about retreats, there was a movie like years ago. I think it's called Couples Retreat, actually. Um,
Hmm.
I forget the name. I think, what's the name of the guy? A funny guy. Um, I'm drawing a blank. There's some of you out there, whoever's watching, there's somebody's watching. They're gonna know whose name I'm thinking about from this movie. But but yeah, I visualize this movie because they're like these couples and they're on this beautiful island. Um, they're going through their sessions, a little group yoga and meditation, and then there's like this other section of the island over here where they're partying and like, hey, I want to go to that part of the island. So like that's the visual that I get when it comes to your retreats. Some people may be listening right now. Oh, retreats? What type of retreats? What did you do? Like, take us through what your retreats are, how they came to be, and yeah, and kind of bring together all the different aspects of who you are and how that is exemplified through your retreats.
So you're getting a little muffled. I don't.
Mm. right, if you are hearing me, and I'm going to refresh here. If you're hearing me, go ahead and just kind of speak to your retreats. I'm going to refresh on my side, and hopefully that will fix our issue. All right, guys. I don't know if I'm completely frozen. I can see myself, but I can see Iris. But it seems as if things were going, um, were flowing without me. But now I'm able to see her video. So we're actually about to go into Iris speaking about her retreats. And it seems as if I am cutting out. All right, let's see. Okay, so look like Iris may be having some technical difficulties. Let's see. You can bring her back. All right, my check.
All right. Can you hear me?
I do, but for some reason I'm getting static. Are you getting
You
static
are
when I speak?
very staticky. Very staticky.
All right, well, I'm going to shut up. And I want you to tell us about your retreats.
Okay, so our retreats originated do I sound staticky as well or no? Can you hear me okay?
On my end, on my end, you are staticky. I want our audience to tune in. Those
I can hear the
who are watching,
feedback.
yeah, those who are watching, let us know how the audio is coming across on your side. Um, this has happened to me before, and I may have to change platforms because this is annoying. Um, but continue. I'm going to keep an eye on the audience to see if they're hearing us the same way that we're hearing each other.
So the retreats came about because I don't particularly like superficial conversations. I like to get to the core of things with people. It is just something that I've been called analytical over the years. And I really had to. Do you hear me okay? You're frozen. Now I lost you. Can you hear me?
Did you finish? Because
Okay.
I'm
No,
still over
because
here.
you got frozen on me, so I don't even know if the audio is coming through. The devil is a lie.
All right. All right, Francesca.
So
You saying no? Or you saying yes in the chat, Francesca? I'm not sure what you're saying no to or what you're saying yes to. Tell us yes, audio is fine, or no, audio is trash. So we know exactly what's going.
the audio for you coming in is trash.
Yeah,
And I hear the feedback.
and the same for me coming from you. So it's got to be the platform. So let's.
Do you want to refresh it and come back in?
I will. Well, I want you to just go ahead and continue to speak on the retreat, and you kind of go through what led to the retreats and how different parts of your past. Okay, my audio is trash. Yours is fine. So see you creating these retreats and what people can expect from these retreats?
So, what led up to the retreats, as I was saying, I do not like superficial conversation. I love getting to the core of conversations with people. I do analyze a lot. There's so much to be said about having a conversation with a person. Conversations are important, transparency is important. I went on a trip, on a birthday trip a few years ago, and excuse me, that birthday trip, my best friend got sick on me, and she did not spend a lot of time outside of the room on the resort, and she felt super bad, but I was super okay with it. I knew that there was a purpose for it, and so I ended up spending a lot of time with two couples. And one of the couples was married for about 40 years, and the other couple was married. They aren't married, but they were together for a few years. And we had the most therapeutic, amazing time in Mexico. Mexico's my favorite place. But we had therapy sessions every single day. And I mean, when I say therapy sessions, I mean, we got to the core of conversations and what transpired with this couple that were married for 40 years. Um, how they come to where they are today. They almost divorced, and that's the whole goal for me, is to keep people away from the divorce table. I believe that everything can be worked out. It's just a matter of how we treat one another, how we respect one another, how we love on one another, and just simply going back to the beginning, as I said, and healing, or going through the process of healing that baggage that you once had. We can't carry things into another relationship or friendship or whatever the case is. So once that vacation, that birthday trip was over and I returned back home, I was so fulfilled. My heart was super full. I was so excited. And it was something that I literally prayed about. And I asked God, like, how can I travel the world and have these conversations with people, real life conversations? Because trauma doesn't have a race. It does not have a financial status. It does not have a location. It Trauma does not matter. It will hit anyone at any time, anywhere. And so I know there are people that are traveling that are trying to get out of feeling the way that they feel. And what better way than to travel and make these connections? So that's when I reached out to my other mentor and I asked him, what do you do as far as mentorship goes, as far as coaching goes? Because I want to begin to do these retreats. The seed was planted when I, prayed about it. Write the vision, make it plain. I wrote the vision, I made it plain, and I said, I'm going to take a leap of faith. I am huge on taking leaps of faith. And at another time, we'll discuss the biggest leap of faith that I took and how it really, truly impacted my life until today, and will continue. So I'm not afraid to step out on faith. So when I chose to start implementing the retreats, I literally left corporate America, sold the marital home. That chapter needed to be closed in my life. So I sold that home and I left to Puerto Rico to begin my first healing retreat. That was not, I was not supposed to stay in Puerto Rico. I was not supposed to get an apartment in Puerto Rico. That was not a part of the plan. But apparently, God had other plans for me. And so I ended up with an apartment there, and I do now have the ability to travel and have that flexibility. Entrepreneurship is not for the weak. However, when you do the work, when you show up and you really want something and you know that it's something that is going to change lives, help someone, even in the smallest way. I just want to be able to help people in the most minute way to make a difference so that people can feel better. We are consistently hanging on every single day to some form of trauma, to some form of what led us to depression, what leads us to anxiety, what thoughts do we have planted in our mind that The weeds are strangling us. How can we pull those weeds? And that's what we incorporate in the retreat. How do we go back to the beginning, pull the weeds that are strangling us, and plant new seeds that are going to be able to help us? One, for ourselves, for our mental health, our financial health, our physical health, our relationship health, and our future. So that's where our retreats generated from.
I love it. And like I'm still, as you speak, I'm visualizing these things happening in this island resort space. Um, but one of the things I really want us to understand is something that you just mentioned. You mentioned like people need help, and you love to be able to help. And oftentimes we can get it twisted. We say help, 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 and we think about helping professions. Me having a master's degree in social work, being part of that space for so long, I see that it's not a very high income space, the helping professions, unless you're like a nurse, doctor, you get into one of those type of roles. The helping profession typically isn't a very financially rewarding space to go into. But that's when, first and foremost, you stop looking at it as primarily something that you want to be financially rewarded for. And you start looking at it as how can I help more people with what I have to offer? Not how can I go and sit into an office and do whatever my little roles are, not to diminish anybody's roles that are sitting in an office, but when you want to help a large amount of people and you know there's a unique way that you want to, what you need to focus on is like, what is a problem that I know I have the capacity of solving to a certain degree? So you being able to put together these retreats are you helping people solve their problems. And the fact that you have the mentors, you have the associations with so many individuals that the association with so many different individuals that can pour into you and help you develop these retreats, like that's just so huge. Now, for individuals that, and you could have spoken to it while I was getting my audio right, for individuals who would like to attend your retreat, like what are some of the qualifications? Do you have to be a couple? Do you have to currently be in a relationship? Do you have to have recently come out of a traumatic event? Like, what are the qualifications, if there are any, and what would be those initial steps if they were interested?
So currently it is geared for women right now. It will eventually get to a point where it is couples so that we can have much more dialogues in terms of their relationship and what's currently breaking down their situations in their home. But for now, it is for women. No shade to women, right? Obviously, I'm a woman, no shade to women, but we can be brutal. We can be brutal with our words, we can be brutal with our actions. We can literally I'm one to reference faith-based stuff, but there's power in the tongue, and we have the ability to break down, or we have the ability to build up. And oftentimes when we're hurt, we don't say the nicest things out of our mouth. When we are holding on to trauma, we don't react in the best ways. And so those are the things that for me are super important to target. I believe, this is just my belief system. When it comes to children, raising children, a mother has a major impact on her son, right? Where they say girls with dads, mothers and sons. I believe how a mother treats their son, that boy is going to eventually grow up and he's going to treat women poorly, right? So for me, it's all about your upbringing. What seeds have been sown into you? What is has stopped you? So we are frozen again. Brian, can you hear me? I'm in slow
Yes, I
motion.
hear you. I hear you, Soul.
I see
Yeah,
my
you.
video motion.
Yeah, you were in slow motion and then you were speeding up real fast. But the message,
I see it.
and I'm telling you, yeah, like technology sometimes it just don't want us to do what we need to do. Um, but
I think it's just the enemy that doesn't like healing, and he doesn't like, us uprooting the stuff
mm,
that has been strangling us, because of course the enemy wants us to stay stuck and bound to the things that have kept us there. He wants to distract us. He wants to make sure that we don't go on a healing journey. He doesn't want us to walk in our purpose. So of course this would occur, but the devil's a lie, and we're going to
yeah,
keep on moving. So as far as the retreats go, I will make this really quick. As far as the retreats go, yes, currently it is about targeting women. I want women to feel better. And so many people are embarrassed. So many people, don't like to share that they struggle with certain things, whether it is depression, anxiety, feeling miserable, not knowing what's going on, because you can feel a certain way internally, like I did for many years, and not know why I was feeling that way. So it really truly is a matter of having that freedom, that cross taken off your back, like hanging up that cross, because it's not for us to carry. So how do we get to the core of that? In order for us to get to the core of that in our retreats, we are going back to the beginning. I did release the digital journal that is speaking to the little girl inside of us. What did you need when you were a child? That same you didn't you're still a child inside. That didn't change. That child is still deep rooted in you. So what can we do to nurture that child in you, that in turn will create the beauty that comes in womanhood, right? That we're able to be able to, have effective and good quality relationships.
yeah. And there's so many levels I can go into in response to that. Um, we're gonna have to have another session to like go deeper into some of the retreat focused things. Um, I'm just thinking about like things that I've dealt with over the last few years, specifically in relationships, and how I've seen individuals to beat themselves up because of mental battles that they're going through. And no, like, don't beat yourself up. Get the help that you need so that you can become that next level version of yourself. And
Right.
I had a relationship that I was in, and she chose to step away to focus on getting her mental health together. And neither of us really wanted it, but we knew that it was needed if she was going to be able to lock in and do what she needed to do. And she did so. And after about reconnected at a friendship level, and like our connection and respect for one another and encouragement for one another is like so much better now because like she went through the process. And it takes retreats like yours, various different types of healing, various different modalities, different settings. But to have a retreat like yours, knowing that, and I say this intentionally, like some of these retreats can be man bashing ceremonies. Now, yours, I know from your character, like it's something that's really going to be set to uplift the woman. And it's one of the things they say happy life, or happy wife, happy life. Am I getting glitchy again? They say, okay, I think I'm better now. They say,
You are.
and then again, it starts again. They say happy wife, happy life, but it's a give and receive. I was about to say give and take. It's a give and receive. Like if the wife comes to the table and she's giving happy energy, it's a lot easier for happy energy to be reciprocated. But also,
Happy
he has to
house,
determine.
happy spouse.
Yes, I heard that one, and it left me. That's it, and you both have to come into that house happy. And if you're not happy, let me hold space for you to not be happy for now until you can get back happy. I'm gonna be happy for you, and then vice versa. And don't feel like it.
Right.
This is a thing that a lot of us as men feel like we have to do. We got to come in, and I got to fix her. I gotta make her happy. No, you can't make her happy. You can make space for her to be okay to be happy. And then the
That's
same
right.
way on the flip side. Like sometimes we men, we're out here battling the world, and we come home and we just want to be soft. Like we want to cuddle up in our woman's arms, like I'm tired. Like just hold me. But on the outside world, most of us like we don't want people like seriously, bro. Like, but that's what we need and what we should express and what we should provide inside that union. And it goes so far. It goes so far. And I'm thankful that I know you, and I look forward to this retreat for the women and for your sake, but I also look forward to when you open it up to couples as well, because I'm gonna be one of the I have to make sure I have a partner first.
So
But
disclaimer, let me put the disclaimer as you say qualifications disclaimer. I'm not accepting anyone who feels the need to men bash, because there's a reason why men and women alike conduct themselves the way that they do. And how do we get to the core of that? So bashing them is not going to change that. Bashing them is just going to take the attention off of how you're reacting to it. We just look at someone else's behavior, but how are we looking at it? And I listen, I'm queen here of the struggle in that area.
all right, I'm gonna say it's on my side, but Iris froze on me again. I'm probably frozen on her side. Yeah, well, I'm moving here soon, and I'm gonna make sure the Wi-Fi that I have at this new place is top tier technology. All right, I'm gonna refresh on my end. Maybe Iris is sitting there waiting for me. Hill don't bash. That's facts. All right, so I'm going to speak until at least on my side. I see Iris has rejoined us. Um, just to kind of get ready to wrap us up, in case she does come back, we have to get to that point in life to where we find avenues to continue to grow, and you'll find various different masculine spaces that will say things along the lines of like healing is like for the weak. Yeah, it is really like you got to heal so that you're not weak anymore. People that say things like self care is for the weak. And I'm using terminology to keep myself from speaking too vulgarly, depending on who's listening. But we got to get to the point. We've got to get to a point where we embrace the
Let's get it right
journey,
now.
where we embrace the journey of healing and surround ourselves with those who can help us embrace that journey. So, off that note, we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna go ahead and get ready to wrap it up. I kind of put a little nice little bow on it, but we definitely gonna come back and do a part two. But yeah, like I want to say thank you for I want to say thank you for going through the experiences that you have gone through in life. Like a lot of times we look at it, like I mentioned earlier, we look at the bad of it, we see the bad in it. But oftentimes, and this is a belief of mine, God puts us through things that He knows that we can go through, so that we can help other people not have to go through it, who can't go through it the way that we did. So I want to say I appreciate you for that. Continue to do what you're doing. So many people speak so highly of you. Like I'm having sessions with other people. Oh my goodness, I love Iris. Oh yeah, Iris jumped into the clubhouse session. She's so beautiful. Like I hear all these great things about Iris, like all over the place. Keep being that person. and like
Yeah.
blessings and blessings and blessings are going to come running after you. So, as we wrap up, is there anything or are there any final words, maybe where people can go to learn about the retreat, when the retreat is? Any final words you want to close on?
So this year's retreat is going to be held in Davie, Florida, October 22nd to October 25th. We will have a couple of speakers there where we do target credit and we target budgeting, all the things that encompass the struggle of our mental, what keeps us from being at peace? Why are we mentally stressed out? And a lot of times people don't recognize that because of trauma and because of unhealed things that they have going on in their life, they mismanage their money. And so that's why we are solutions, because there's more than one. It's not just about travel. It's not just about, just targeting healing. It's about every piece in our lives that affect us in some way or another. So you can go to Faith and Serenity Solutions LLC.com, and you can find more information on the website for the retreat, as well as my digital journal is also there, which is something that we will be going through at the retreat. So everyone will need to fill that out, and we will go over it while we're at the retreat, and just see where everyone is. And there will also be follow-up. So depending on what packages you choose, you will have sessions, personal sessions that we are able to follow up. And if you're still struggling and still going through things that are on that document, then we can kind of go through it. And if we have to go back to the beginning a million times because you missed something, I do it still. There are things that I have not recognized or begin to recognize now that I can go back and correlate. So, again, it's a continuous thing, and I am here for this journey for others. It is a painful but incredible process. It is just the most liberating thing when you start doing the work. So I definitely offer myself, especially to our women in our community and other individuals. It's not just women, I speak to men too, that are struggling. And I look at it like, wow, like there's just people are struggling. So, just a little bit that I can help, as I said, go to the website. You can put a request in there. I am a travel advisor as well. You are able to put requests on the website as well there. So any information that's needed, you can certainly go to our site.
Well, I appreciate you, Iris. The website will be linked down below in the description if you're watching this on Facebook, and also the description after I update it on YouTube. So thank you again, Iris, for being with us today. We will be doing a part two of this probably within the next month. I'll wait until I get into my new location before we do part two, but we definitely want to do it timely enough to get more people information around the retreat. So I'm going to put you backstage real quick, close out with the audience, and I'll come back and close out with you, and we'll call it a day.
Brian, I thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for all of your help and literally not giving up on me when I've wanted to give up on myself. Between you and that other mentor, I mean, you stick to it, and not many people will do that. They will say, you know what, that person is in this phase, and let me just keep moving on to the next. And you guys don't do that, and it has just been an incredible journey so far. I can't be more grateful for the help that you provide, because it's not easy in these entrepreneur streets. So I am incredibly grateful. Kudos to you, for your patience, for all that you do for me, for our community, and for individuals that are not even a part of our community. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate that. I turned the AC off so we don't have like much wind blowing through. So I'm trying to make sure my eyes don't sweat. But I
Bye,
appreciate
everyone.
you. Thank you so much, Iris. All right, so just to close us off, I think she said it all. I'm thankful for those who put their trust in me, for those that show up on a daily basis to listen to me, to contribute to the conversations with me. Um, She mentioned our community. I hold a community, or I facilitate a community called Re-Engineered Minds that I started back at the beginning of 2025, and the beginning of July last year. We started going live every single morning on this platform called Clubhouse, and I just show up every single day. Like every single day, there's not been a day that I haven't showed up since July the 1st of last year. And it's just me being of service and pouring into the masses. Whoever shows up, they show up. If you follow me on Instagram, you see here recently, I throw like a little recap up most mornings on how the morning session went, a little statement from the morning. But I just keep showing up because I'm a firm believer that when you help enough people get what they want in life, you can have everything that you want in life. But you should do that not with the desire of getting everything that you want in life, but just being a selfless servant. And I know that what's mine will be mine. So I appreciate all of you guys for tuning in, parting the glitches that we had. Like she said, the forces out there against us will always send that negative energy in. I rebuke it. It ain't gonna keep us down. We're gonna keep on keeping on. So we'll be back sometime in this next month for another episode. We'll likely have Iris back at least once more before her retreat, but we'll definitely be having some additional episodes as well. Off that note, we're out. Much